that, I guess it's next. Is that specific to the package number you're using for this example?
Yeah.
Always say no geocoder.
Oh, well, because we installed Node geocoder, it'll put Node geocoder in here, and then the version number of what it installed. You could specify a certain version when you want to do when you do npm install, right? You could specify a certain version. Matter of fact, if I wanted to, I can make a new package over here. I just don't know what version. This will work. I mean, this won't work. Let's see. 1 second. I'm just looking at 2.8.0. If I put that here. So I manually edited this file, right? I manually edited it. If I go into the terminal now, what command do I do to install that package in the package.json? Good job, Emily. Good job, Emily. npm install. All right, so you could do npm install Spotify right here, and that'll install the Spotify package from npmjs.org. And if I look right here, it says Spotify and the version number, 0.30. I'm going to get rid of the caret too. Right, so you can put the packages in manually, type in npm install right here, or you could do npm install from the terminal and then just get rid of the caret, whatever you prefer. But with this though, let's say you're working with Josh on a project, right? You're working with Josh on a project, Saeed, and then Josh and Saeed add packages, right? You don't have those packages. When they push up on GitHub and make a pull request, right, merge it in, and you pull from master, git pull origin master, now your package.json file just got updated, right? Now you're going to run npm install. You're going to have all the packages that they have, the exact same package version numbers, right? That's the big benefit of this file, right? Because you're not going to know off the top of your head what version numbers you're using. The problem. So, I mean, I could get rid of these. It doesn't really matter, but I guess I'll just keep them. And so in this file, did someone send me their API key? Thank you so much. You didn't put your credit card in, so you're fine. Does not matter. Okay, so how do we know to do this right here? Well, you could go to the package documentation. So we can go to, if we type in, go to Chrome, go straight to npmjs.org, and then it tells you right here how to install it. And we just copied the code from here. Right? So right here, we just copied it. And what about this city and state part? Let's go to Aaron's row. Derek, Aaron, Haven.
What about it?
Yeah, just what are we doing over here?
Oh, you're creating two variables, city and state.
Mm-hmm.
That you can build to process our 2, 3, 3, 4.
Awesome. Perfect, right? So we're grabbing the first thing they pass to the file, right? Why is it 2 though?
Start at 0.
Mm-hmm. So what's in the 0th place? Do you guys know?
Node.
Good. The node where node is, right? And what's in the index 1, the second element, where the file is, and then that third argument, index 2, is going to be the city, and the fourth argument, index 3, is going to be the state, right? So we run this file like this: node 10.9. One named Oakland. There we go. And no comma. So the Oakland is right here. And then California goes into that one. I'm sorry, I nodded and didn't hear you. Mhm.
I was able to put multiple words in that one quotation, and it worked.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you could have put all of them like this if you wanted to, right? And then you would just do process to argv2. Yeah, whatever you prefer. In this version, it's taking them separate arguments. But that way is actually a little bit better. I'll just keep this way for now. And then down here, this is where we're using the package. We're using geocoder, the word geocoder, because we called the node geocoder function, which we got from the package. We passed in this object right here with the API key. So now we have this object geocoder. And then in the geocoder object, there's this geocode function. How do you know this? Well, you go to the package documentation. You don't know what the developer wrote. So either they write good documentation or you have to go to their GitHub and look at their source code, right? Those are the two ways. Typically, you never have to do that, right? Unless you're doing something really intense. We pass in that string right here, and then we're going to console log the data. And this is just to pretty print it right here. This is how you pretty print it. JSON.stringify, data, comma, null, comma, 2. That's the 2, I think, represents line numbers. So here, let's run the file. And then it gives us our latitude, longitude coordinates right there. And I think I remember this being basically correct. 37, negative 122, that's the Bay Area. Yeah. All right, cool. So let me send you guys this file, take a look at it, and then we'll do the harder version. Let me zip this up. All right, cool. And William, just let me know when you have it downloaded, unzipped, and npm installed. All right, you got it? Great. All right, looks like the class recording from Monday recorded. Monday's class. Tuesday's class. Yeah, Janak reminded me. All right. I missed maybe a tiny bit of the first part, but I'm gonna have to redo it for the second part anyway. The npm install, like the manual npm making the folder, npm installing, all that stuff.
For today?
Yeah, for today. Yeah, like it was. Janak just messaged us what I missed. I'm pretty sure like it was just the making the folder.
Just 1 minute, right? Yeah. So
Yeah. He verified that. Yeah. We're good now. Recording. All right, 10 minutes. Just go over the previous file, and then we'll go over the harder version.
Oh, yes, it should be rapid.
All right, questions on this file? Yeah, so this was to print something, print an object like better. So if let me open up the node terminal, go into node. Make an object right here. If I do ob, it looks like that. JSON.stringify ob looks like that. If I do this, it puts it on new line. So it puts a new line right here and a new line right here. So it makes it look better. If I console log it, so let's do. Yeah, whereas if I console log JSON.stringify ob like this, it prints it like that. So it prints it a little bit cleaner. Good question. Let me just take a screenshot of this. All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, cool. All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this file? All right, awesome. Any other questions on this All right, great. So in the harder version, I mean, there really wasn't much of a difference. Instead of this right here, you would do this right here, right? And what you could do is you could say, you could just do address equals process.argv2 and just expect them to wrap their input in quotes, like Ebony suggested in the other class, right? This certainly would work no matter what, right? You could do this also, right? So just going over dot slice again. So if we go into node var a equals where node is, where the file is, comma, let's say San Fran, right? 2 words. And then California. Right, so we have an array like this, San Francisco, California. So if we do a dot slice 2, it gives us this. And if I do a dot slice 2 dot join, wait, before I do that, what happened when I did a dot slice 2? Nick.
You basically take from the second index of
Mhm.
the input all the way to the end.
All the way to the end, right? So it goes from the second index all the way to the end. So if I did a dot slice 2, or let's say 1 comma 3, what will this return Haven's row? If I did a dot slice 1 comma 3, what do you think?
So where's the file in San?
Where the file is,
In San.
and San. Okay, cool. And then so run this. Good, perfect. So if you do this, it gives you 1, 2, and it doesn't give you 3. It stops right before 3. I don't like this method, but it's what we have, right? Yeah. So a dot slice 2 dot join. Give it a space, and there we go. Right, and then we put this right in, and then it should work. So that's what we're doing on that line. So let's paste this in. It's still uploading the previous, all right, whatever. All right, so let me get out of this, Control C, Control C. Oh yeah. Right, so we just took care of one of the objectives. Right, so we'll just read through them all. Rob, read the first 2.
Since go over the coding activity, and then students will use inquirer.
Yep, inquirer. And inquirer is like, it's like a better process to argv, right? It's just a much better process to argv. And then 3, go to Aaron.
Most students will go over basic recursion.
We'll go over basic recursion. There's more advanced recursion. Today's like a very simple version. Recursion is when you call a function in itself, right? You have a name of a function and you call that name of the function in itself. Like, why would you want to do that? Oh, wow, I just totally zoned out. The reason why you would want to the reason why you would want to do this is if you want to ask the same question again and again until a base case, right? So let's say when the counter is 10, you want to stop asking them this question, right? Or until or let's say they're playing a game, right? And you're asking them a question like, go ahead, guess a word, right? Guess a word. And then at the end, you ask them, do you want to play again? If they say yes, then you ask them again. If they say no, you stop it, right? So if they say yes, you're going to call the function again, right? And then number 4, let's go to Ebony. Yeah, so the prototype is basically how JavaScript has something called inheritance, right? So how can you share properties from objects? Like you have this object and you have this object. How can you share properties between them, right? So that's what the prototype is, and we'll cover that. And then 5, let's go to Haven.
Students will go over constructor functions.
Yeah, so constructor functions let you create objects. They let you create objects. So you can use a constructor function to create a bunch of people, like person objects, if you want, right? And why would you want to do that? It's like a different design for your code, right? So we'll cover that. And then Derek, number 6.
Students will touch on inheritance in JavaScript.
Yep, and by covering these two, we'll cover the basics of inheritance today. We're going to do this now in classic JavaScript, and we're going to go over it again when we cover ES6 in the ES6 way. The ES6 way is significantly easier. It's so much easier to understand. This way is this is much harder to understand. Yeah. So we're going to cover this again, and it's going to be much easier eventually, right? Not just because you're going to be better than, but the material is significantly easier. Okay, cool. So we'll cover inquirer now. So I have this package.json file. I'm going to get rid of this caret right here, and it's the inquirer package. And I have this file right here. It's using the inquirer package right here. And we could access it from a variable called inquirer. And then this object inquirer has a function called prompt, and we could pass it an array of questions that you want to ask your user. And whatever responses they give back will go right in a callback function. So our first question is what's your name? And the value of whatever they type in is going to be inside of a key called username. And then the next question is going to be set your password, and the value of what they type in is going to be inside of a key called password. Over here, this is a list type question, whereas the previous two, this was input and password. Password and input are basically the same thing, except password will put stars in front of all the characters you type in. Over here we have a list, so it's like a multiple choice. Which Pokemon do you choose? And then you could choose one, and then whatever you choose will be inside of a key called Pokemon. Same thing, and this is just to confirm if you say you get to choose true or false, right? And you actually can pass in a default value too, right? In case they skip the question or something. And then we have a promise, right? After this whole prompt function is done, after they're done answering the questions, this callback function happens, and their entire response is inside this argument right here, right? And what we're saying is inquire response.confirm. If they said confirm at the end, we're going to console log their response, their username, and their Pokemon. And if not, we're going to console log their username and say, come again later. So let's try this out. I'm going to do node basic.js. Gives me an error. What did I do wrong? Let's go to Saeed's row. I didn't need to. For this package, I didn't need to. Yeah, so it says cannot find module inquire. Perfect, right? And I already have my package.json. This just prints out, cap just prints out the contents of a file. I already have 6.21 in my package.json file. So what do I type in to install that package from the package.json file? npm install, great. And what we're doing right now, this whole setup and this whole format of having a package.json file, it's the same in every language, usually. Ruby has a gem file, which is very similar to a package.json file. They don't have packages, they have gems. I forget what PHP has. They have composer, but I forget what the name of the things are. Okay, so now we have it installed. I'll do node basic.js. What's your name? Haven, which sets your password. Password. Go ahead.
Charmander.
Nice. Are you sure? Hit Y, enter. And then welcome Haven, your Charmander is ready for battle, right? And let's just try one more time. Double R.
A. Double A.
Damn it! Like you said that, and I still typed it wrong.
Squirrel.
Nice. Type in no. That's okay. Aaron, come again when you're sure. All right. So let's go back to the file. It's pretty cool because you could pass in as many questions as you want. You don't have to worry about the position of anything anymore, right? You don't have to worry about the index number, right? There's a lot of benefits of using inquire. Is inquire better than process to argv? They're two different things almost, right? So if you have like a user, if you have like let's say a sysadmin, right? So a sysadmin is someone that is really good at Unix commands. It's a pretty good job. And you're pretty good at Unix commands, you're monitoring servers and stuff like that. Maybe they're not really coders. Sometimes they are, but usually they're not. Let's say you make this for them. You make a thing for them to automate some things for them. And you want to customize what the program does. You can use inquire. You can use inquire. That's where I would use inquire. Let's say you're doing what I did with my fancy football thing. Like I'm scraping a lot of data. I just need to pass the year and the week number or something, right? And it's all going to be running from the back end anyway. Then I'm going to use process to argv, right? When there's a human, then I would use inquire. When there is no human, then I would use process to argv, right? Because to get my shell script working with inquire, it would be a pain. I don't think I could get it working. To get my shell script working with process to argv, it's super easy. All I have to do is type in, like if I open that up real quick. So this shell script right here, all I have to do for process to argv is node the file name and then the year and then the week number right here. That's all I have to do. With inquire, I don't know how to make this code run this and then answer all those questions. I don't think I could do it, right? Like I don't think I could write code right here to use inquire properly, because inquire is made for a person, not for a shell script. All right, so inquire for humans, no humans, use process to argv. So let me send you guys this file. And then give you a little bit of time to look over it. And then we'll do an activity on it. Cool. And Derek, give me a thumbs up when you have it downloaded, npm installed. Cool. Just let me know when it's finished.
databases stuff like inquirer and Node.js and everything. The open source community.
Yeah, these 113 people right here work on it, and the reason why is because most likely they use it, and there was something that it didn't do that they needed, so they just like updated the source code for everyone, right? And if this is a really good way of getting involved. If you want to look here for things to do, it's hard to like just be passionate about this and just find something to do, right? Because some of these people like use it in a serious way, but there are a bunch of problems that they have that they need help fixing right here. And which
What do you think those 113 people do like for work? Or like, is this like a part of like a work project? Is it like pushing it up for everybody else to use at work? Or
yeah, let's take a look.
are these people just kind of digging around at home?
Sometimes it's like hobbyist people from random countries. I'm like really surprised. Like sometimes I'll see someone from like Oklahoma, like some epic coder. I'm like, wow.
Totally random country.
Yeah, or yeah, Oklahoma might as well be a different country, right? I mean, let's oh, wow, this so this guy's a person that started the node package and looks like he has a pet deer and he's posing with his pet deer. Yeah. Yeah, and he lives in Beijing. And are there deer in Beijing?
From Montreal right there.
Probably from Montreal. That's where I would see deer. But anyway, I guess this is someone who does that. Sorry, I didn't encourage you to. Okay, I'll start the timer now.
Never heard of the open source community?
No, I know all about it.
There are millions, like hundreds of thousands of developers worldwide that just like work on GitHub all day.
No, but no, it's true. Like, what motivates these people? Like, usually, if they're working on something at work, and then they have a use case, like that happened to me.
That's what I was thinking.
Mhm, yeah.
Like people who build like Kafka or Cassandra or MongoDB or all those things, right? And turn companies eventually they probably start with people who want to build something for a purpose, right?
Well, MongoDB is interesting, right? Because like they're like Oracle. They do a lot of consulting work. They have business development people, like solutions
But
architects.
it didn't start that way, right?
I gotta look at their story a little bit more, but they're like Oracle now. The only difference is they're free, right? Like Apache has like so many products. It's crazy.
Yeah, but how did how they got started?
There's this really good let me see, Nat Geo. I was wondering about all the companies. Yeah, Valley of the Boom. There we go. Like Nat Geo did this entire thing on the Bay Area and how it became the Bay Area. This is on my watch list. I haven't watched it yet.
I mean, we're technically adding and contributing to the open source community through this class, right?
Yeah, because you're adding stuff to GitHub, right?
Putting it in GitHub, right?
Mhm.
We have a purpose for this class. I'm trying to think of
Like why are these people doing? It's usually like work, or they use this package for fun, and then it has like one thing that they really want, and they add it in.
For the most part, people are just like, hey, I need to accomplish something. They build it out. And they say, wow, everybody else can benefit from this. So they upload it.
Exactly, and then if you go to Shopify. So a lot of companies open source their code also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to kind of attract more developers And like, let's say you're working on a package and you're like, it's pretty good, but let me just give it to everyone and they'll make it amazing. Right? Because like if you can get a ton of developers to work on something for free. And I mean, it's not completely free. You're sharing all your source code.
Right. Pretty cool.
And now like with Bitcoin and Ethereum, like that's open source. So like you can program money, like it's open source. Like anyone can contribute to it. It's pretty nuts.
Is that what you do right now?
I don't work on, they're like so smart. The people who work on Ethereum, I just help people use it with business development. So I work with BD and then I help banks and stuff. It's kind of boring, but it pays money.
So Pawan, I have a question.
What's up, Janak?
Yeah, so when I was doing control log to the response, right? So I get an object with the 4 key. So I didn't understand how those 4 key came in the response. Username, password,
this key
profile,
right,
and confirm.
this
Yep.
key right here, username, confirm. Yeah,
Yep.
they come from here, the name, whatever name you give it, right here. Those are the keys for the response. So this question shows up, and then these are the choices. They choose a choice, and whatever value they choose goes into a key called Pokemon inside of the inquirer response object.
Right. So that means when I do console log inquire response, then it will not run first after entering value only. Then I'll get the response.
Yeah, so you have to answer all the questions, and then this function will run, and then whatever the name of this argument is, all the responses will be inside of there, organized inside of a key. I mean, if I console logged this, it should be a little bit. Actually, it might not be clear, because it might give us a lot of stuff. Okay, it was pretty clear. So it prints out this. So this is inquirer response.
So how does that username, password, Pokemon, and confirm came from? Where those values came from?
Oh, right here. Right here. I asked these questions.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah, so when I typed those responses, they just went into this object right here. In terms of how the code works, I mean, if you open up node modules and go into, I didn't give you enough time to look into this, but if you go into the inquirer package, go into lib, inquirer.js, this is all the code for inquirer.js.
Okay.
It'll take a bunch of console logging to figure out what everything's doing, but this is where it is.
Yep, thanks.
No problem.
Is it because for the confirm, because it's the default is true, is that why you don't need to say if inquirer.confirm default is true?
Oh no, I mean like if you do, let's see, let me type that in. I do node, I do that, it'll print hello. If I do this, it won't print hello. Now let's do var a equals true. Right, and I'll do var b equals false. Right, so it's truthy. Because like if you did a, you could do that, right? So, but this will end up being false, right? So it's at the end, it's always going to be true or false.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're saying the default pass true.
Yeah, but
Itself is true.
we didn't.
It's equal to true.
Yeah, somehow we didn't actually have to do that. So let me just demonstrate that part. Like we didn't need this default true part. So let me just get rid of this. It'll probably work with the comma. So it still works without the default true. Let me put it back. Let me see if I can make it If you can see the difference. Yeah, how I didn't put anything. I just pressed enter. I guess you didn't catch it. So I'm gonna just press enter now, right? And just by default put yes in.
Okay, so it recognizes N as no.
Yeah, it shows Y and N and recognizes each one.
Okay.
Good question.
Oh, because a type is something that's set in inquirer.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
It customizes.
Like a password. It's like for the password it knows to keep it.
Like, yeah, don't show the
It's
password.
something set in the program.
List, and I think there are other ones also. Get the question. But Josh, in 2012, in 2011, 2012, like the Bay Area had tons of startups use Ruby on Rails because Shopify and all these big companies just like open source all of their code. And then it was so easy for a startup to like make a web app using Ruby on Rails. So back then it was just like this skill to know. And then a ton of startups just came about because of the open source contributions.
Wow.
Yeah.
While we're on that,
Hmm?
sometime if you get time, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Ruby versus Ruby on Rails versus Python on Django, and why Python was selected for this curriculum.
Yeah, they just kind of like did research on the number of jobs.
Mhm.
I mean, that's primarily what they did to figure out what to teach and what not to teach. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go over Python Flask. I think Flask is a little bit easier to understand compared to Express, which we're gonna go over. I'm gonna go over a little bit of machine learning, and then we're gonna do JSON Web Tokens and Redux and testing. Those are 3 things. Yeah. Mocha
That's kind of what
and Jest. Yeah. So I mean, but they're all the same though. They all once you know one, they all are basically the same thing. Whether you're doing it in Ruby or Python or C#, they all work the same. Puppeteer. What do you guys use?
Puppeteer, yes.
Use Puppeteer? Okay. And Jest? Cool. So we're gonna do React and then we're gonna do Jest. So Ebony, you're a QA engineer? Cool, nice. She's a QA engineer, so maybe you could talk about your job for a second. Like do you write the tests or?
I do write some tests, but simple tests like basic UI tests.
Mhm.
But I'm building off a foundation that was already like set up by like my previous teammates.
Cool.
So, I just build tests for things like login and like verifying page objects and things like that. Very
Nice.
simple tests.
Yeah, we'll cover like test-driven development a little bit later on, but yeah, the class isn't TDD, but we'll cover it later on. All right, so I just sent you guys an activity. And so you're gonna ask a question set. You're gonna ask for a basic input, a password, a list, a checkbox, and a confirm. And you're gonna say if a password matches a predefined password, you're gonna redisplay the data back to them. So let's say the secret password is Rob, right? So if they type in Rob, then it'll display all the information back to them. But if they don't type in Rob, it'll say denied. Yeah, so it's gonna be basically the same thing, except you're gonna have like a predefined password. And you're gonna check whether that password is correct or not. And you could use the previous file to help you. So let me put the timer on. Doesn't take any longer than 12 minutes. You could use the previous file. Just 3 more minutes. Yeah, what's up? No problem.
That's what we want, right?
Well, let's see.
On her coded. Oh,
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, you basically just print out the content. So you use console log, inquire response.
okay, so I didn't do that.
You didn't see that message, but you just print out inquire response. That's it. Essentially.
Oh.
Hi, man.
Hey, so I got it to work, but I have it in a different folder. It keeps showing me how, but just when I download it,
Let's see right here.
but it's in downloads.
Yeah, that's completely fine.
When
Oh, this folder is in downloads?
Yeah, but when I
Okay.
run this,
Mhm.
like, what is your name appear?
That's good.
Appears instead of like, what is your Muppet's name?
Oh, that's what you typed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because it showed me how.
Mhm.
And then it
So you're on, this is on your desktop. Are you supposed to be in your downloads? Is this in your downloads? Let's see.
Why just like insult it in here?
This is in your downloads, so you're in the wrong folder.
Yeah.
So let's go back. Let's go to downloads. Oh my God, you have so many files. Okay, what is this? Oh, for inquire intro. There you go. Just in the wrong file. That's all. No problem, man. All right, guys, let's go over this now. So one thing that on one person's machine, right, it did not work. And it was because the version number of Node was on an early version of Node, so that package didn't work, the inquire package. So make sure you're on 10 or above for Node. You check this by doing node -- version. If you're not, all you have to do is download it from the Node website and install it and restart your terminal. And then you'll be set, right? I mean, you don't really have to look if everything worked. It probably is fine, but you do want to not be on version. non-easy. Yeah, so you can. There's something called NVM. We don't have to do it now, but it's called NVM, called Node Version Manager. So it's NVM is like a package. You install it globally, and then you can have like multiple versions of Node. And that's important because let's say Rob's working on Node version 8, and then that's his project. Hires a bunch of developers. They all use Node version 8, right? Let's say Juthika, she works for Rob's company, right? And then she also works for Haven's company. Haven's using version 10. She has to use version 10 here, version 8 there. So she's not going to uninstall it, reinstall it every time. She's going to have both versions of Node in her computer. She's going to have version 8 and version 10. And she's going to switch based on the project she's on, right? And you can do that here. Let's see, do I have NVM? I probably do. I don't. It's an easy install.
When for like the terminal do you start using like sudo like apt-get and apt-update or apt-update and upgrade and all that?
Yeah. So apt-get is Linux thing. Yeah. And so Kit's nodding. If you have any like sysadmin questions, Kit was a sysadmin for 20 years. So you could ask him. I've done some stuff too, but he knows a lot more. But apt-get is for Linux. Yeah. And you use sudo whenever you need permission, right? Like whenever you need to prove that you're the administrator. Okay, so let's see. Let's do this activity.
So how to get the latest version?
Just go to the website, the Node website. All right, let me get there in a second. And then you can just download the current version right here. All right, cool. So let me go into right here. And let me update this file to do what we want. So over here, I just need to delete this stuff. And they add a password, so I'm going to put a password at the top. And then I'm going to take their password that they type in and finish it off for me, Rob. Password equals, and then I put in coding. And then right here, we just console log out inquire response. Right here. That was basically the activity, right? I mean, we just had to ask a set of questions. And then if they type in the password that we have up here, then we just print out all their information, right? Even though it doesn't really make sense, but that was the activity. And then we'll just try it out. Coding. Forgot the password. Cool. All right. Questions on this file? All right. So now let me just copy. I'm going to copy this folder again. Not sure what that noise is. '07 recursion demo. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of the password part. Just make this. And then instead of are you sure, I'm going to say, do you want to add another user? Okay, so right here, this is inquire, right? This is what we did before. But let's say I wanted to have var users. I want to put all the Pokemon, all the people that have Pokemon in this users array right here, right? So what I'd have to ask this, I have to copy all of this stuff and paste it in multiple times in itself, right? But that's not good. Instead, I can wrap this in a function. So what I'll do right here, sure, that was weird. Okay, so I'm going to push, I'm going to do users dot push, and I'll call this user or you. So it's going to take in their username, their Pokemon, and whether they confirmed or not, and put inside users right here. So let's see what users looks like. Right, so I didn't really do much. All I did was change this stuff right here and make an array over here. So let's just run this file. Right, so this is what the users array looks like right now. Right, so let's say I want to keep adding users into it though. Right, I just want to keep adding users until I don't want to add users anymore. I'd have to ask these questions again. So I'd have to like, what do I have to do? I would have to copy all of this code right here and paste it in right here. It's a little bit messy, but it would work. So let me just try it right now. And then now the users array has Haven and Derek, but that's not good. Like, what if I wanted 5 or 6 or 7? I'd have to keep copying and pasting that code in itself, right? Instead, we could wrap it inside of a function, right? So we could wrap it inside of a function. All I have to do is put this inside of a function. So function, create and add user. Take all of this stuff, paste it in right there. And then I could do an if statement, if u.confirm I recall the function. So all I did was I wrapped the code inside of a function, right? And then inside this callback function, if they said u.confirm, meaning do you want to add another user, I call this function again. Right? If they say n, it's going to u.confirm is going to be false and it's not going to run again. Right? And now I'm going to run this code. It's not going to work. Nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? Let's just close this. What did I forget to do? Call the function. Good. So how would I do that? What else? Parentheses. Great. Okay, so let's try this. Nice. Add one more person. Add in Carol. I'll choose for you. Squirtle. It's okay. Oh, I'll stop after this. All right. We'll say N for no. And now this is our array now. All right. So, I mean, it has this unnecessary key called confirm. If we wanted to not have that, what we can do is, let's go over here. When we push, we'd have to push we'd have to do username, u.username, comma, what was it? Pokemon, u.Pokemon. We'd have to manually do that, and then it wouldn't include the confirm. inside because it's including confirm because U has all the keys. U has all the keys. It has confirm right here. And that, I'm going to just call it conf. It has conf, Pokemon, and username. It has all of them. And if you only wanted Pokemon and username as properties inside the user object, then you'd have to like specify it right here. Okay, so let me send you guys this right here. And this is the reason why I call this like a basic version of recursion is because usually with the more advanced version, you actually return the function name. You don't just call the function, you return it, right? And it's pretty cool how that works. You know what, we'll do that on Saturday. I think that's a good interview question. I'll go over a few and then I'll give you a few questions. Yeah, you could remove the confirm key too, Qua. That works also. Okay, so I just slacked out the code and let me send you something. Actually, in that document of what I tell you what to do after you finish the class, I tell everyone to read this, to go through this webpage, javascript.info. Someone basically put together really, really good explanations of everything you need to really know in JavaScript. A common interview question is, what is a closure, right? That's something we'll cover later on, but that's a common interview question. Function binding, that's a hard concept. We'll cover it now, but it's a hard concept. This guy goes over it really well. Inheritance, everyone has trouble with this, but he goes over it really well. It's just a really good JavaScript book. If you're looking for some kind of book to kind of accompany this class, this is really good. And on top of that, it's free. It's really, really good. Yeah, I mean, this I feel like this is better than all of them. There was like, you don't know JavaScript, like you don't know JS. I've heard good things about this, that one. Yeah, I mean, this one's good. This one's really good. It's free. It's all on GitHub, but there's a lot to read. I'm not a big fan of nonfiction reading. So this one's shorter. And they have a lot of examples that you could try out, which is better, I think, because it's easier to like understand things when you can just like run a bunch of code and then read the explanation, play around with it, rather than like read a ton. So I prefer javascript.info. There's two other books I think that are really good, Rails tutorial, and there's a Python computer science book. I have them, and there's a security book that's really good. They're all free and they're in that book. I'll talk about them again. So I just slacked out 07, and I slacked out a link to prototype inheritance, which we'll start covering after break. So I'll give you guys 20 minutes break and to take a look at that inheritance. I mean, to take a look at the code, the recursion code. It's 20 minutes just for break and look over that recursion code. Right. So if you want to get food, you can. Hey, what's up? Oh, yeah. All right, so did you scan this in?
I'm about to scan it, and then I'll email you.
Cool.
I'll email you
What I'd like to do.
your scanned copy, and then just email it to the other guy.
Sure. So what am I doing?
I'll just fill this out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything should be fine.
Yeah, I think everything should be fine.
Yeah.
But just in case, so I got students for.
Yeah, I think you should be fine at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to worry, but
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, worry a little bit, but not
yeah,
that much.
it's not that much because I'm already starting on day 11.
Yeah. So I
So
don't think.
I'm pretty sure I'm guaranteed a position. They just
Yeah.
want to get like.
I mean,
you know.
I had to do this too when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
no
Dude.
problem, man. Of course.
Appreciate it, man.
Of course. All good.
Yeah. I'll just. Is your email? Oh, it needs your email
Oh, sure.
and your phone number.
Did Safe give his email? He didn't give his email.
Did he? Oh my god! All right. Well, I gotta go call him out on it.
Cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem, dude.
This is Cat. Got it.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem, man.
I'll see you Monday.
Yep. See you Monday, bro.
See you Saturday.
I'll see you Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, too much. I'm trying to do right everything.
Yeah. What's up?
So,
No worries.
so I was trying to change the prompt colors because I think it's all black, so I cannot really see what it is.
Oh, the color of the terminal?
Yeah. Do you have a
Oh.
tab?
No, I don't know off the top of my head, but you might be able to do it in properties, right? Like preferences, maybe? Yeah, preferences, right here.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where I can find that.
Okay. Let me just share my screen because. Okay. All right. I see. I'm afraid of changing it because I like this one.
I know.
So let's see. Okay, I'm not going to change it. Let me just see. Let's look up your computer. Go to preferences. Yeah, so I see the same thing. Okay. There should be like transparency. Do you see anything?
I see what- I'm not sure if it's the opacity or.
So it's the same. I don't know. It's strange.
Strange. Okay, so make terminal transparent Mac. Oh wow, this is like a common thing. Okay, cool. Okay, they lied.
There's a. I think it.
There was another one, right?
No, I think they used the opacity.
Oh, they use opacity. Okay. Where did they use opacity? Color. Click on color and click on color and effects. Okay. Color and effect.
Yeah. It's still nice, but yeah.
Inactive windows.
But this is for the inactive. I think this is for the active window.
Oh, okay.
It's not going through.
Ah, there you go. You could adjust it, whatever you want. Cool.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Yeah. What's up? Yeah.
On Saturday, I have a friend who's working in a company and he's giving us like a mock interviews for Saturday.
That's great. Awesome.
He make us to solve a problem,
Mhm.
but he personally said that he didn't want us to use
Google or anything?
building functions for arrays, but actually he asked us to reverse a string
Mhm.
It's just to avoid using split, join, all that stuff.
Mm.
So what we did, we solved it. Taking the string from the end to the first.
Oh, you looked through it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hey.
Hey, Professor, interrupt.
Oh, no.
Would you know if this is one of the boot camp? We have a lot of boot camp tonight. So.
Yeah, you're right. This is, I don't think there's anyone, so let's write the name.
Because I don't have access to
Yeah, anyone.
student info. I figured I'll check with you and Ash. And then
I don't think there's anyone named Passand in this class. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone named Passand in this class.
Thank you so much,
checking
because
out.
I would hate for someone
To lose their
lose
credit
their-
card, yeah. Thank you so much for doing that.
And then he asked us to try to do the same, but without using a loop.
Mhm.
So what? And
What'd you do?
Try to like building new strings.
Mm.
So what I thought was like maybe we can swap characters
Mm.
in the string. But I tried to do it like today, but it just didn't swap the values.
Yeah, so I mean, there's something called bubble sort, like a common swapping thing.
Yeah, I tried to use like bubbles, but I tried to set characters in the same cycle.
So let's say we have, all right.
It wasn't right. It wasn't a string.
It was in a string? So what was it?
Was bar L, let's say doc.
Voucher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something.
And then you're ordering it from, you're doing
He wanted us to reverse that without using.
reverse it without a for loop or split.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Without built-in function, we were able to use for loop.
Mhm. Can you make a new string?
No.
I can't do var b equals. I can't do this.
No.
Oh, I have to rearrange the string itself. That's challenging because the reason why that's hard is I can't do a bracket 0 equals C. I can't do that. That's the reason why it's kind of the lunge right there. So you have to be able to understand. I think there's a dot splice or something. There's a method where you can update part of a string, right? So that whatever he just said kind of makes it very difficult right there. For me, I would just say I don't like if so in that situation. Say I don't remember the method off the top of my head, but I know there's a method that lets me swap like a character, put in a character at the beginning of the line, right? So that's what I would do, right? And there's a method that would let me remove this character, right? So that's what I would do. So then, so if you want to swap, I would temp, right? And var temp equals like, let's say.
I got the last character. Actually, I split the string in two. So I just swapped the opposites. I tried to do that, but I wasn't able to do that because it just didn't swap.
Yeah, you have to use a temporary variable.
Yeah, I did that.
So var
first,
for
last.
A bracket 0. Or we could do var. So he doesn't want us to use anything. Okay, so counter plus 1, right? So that gets to the next character. And I could say first, second. And then I could do var temp up here. And then over here we can check.
But it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. So the issue right here, if he wants me to check which one is greater, the alphabet, I don't think it would let me do that appropriately. There's a character encoded. So again, I would have to say, I don't remember the function off the top of my head, but there's a character encoding. So I would take the character, I would do first. If it's greater than second, right? No, it's not. This isn't going to completely work right now. I'm just trying to get it to work for one thing, and then I would try for interviews like this. You would communicate like as much as you can, right, about what you're doing. You don't want them to have a presumption in their head about you don't understand something.
That's what he's teaching us.
That's good. That's really good. So over here, right? So I'm going to cover this later on, like not this particular method, but a swapping method.
I tried to do that like all day long today because I just couldn't let it go.
Okay, so say first is greater than second. That's fine. Then that's first. Let me change this. First is less than second. So we have to swap them, right? Now what I do is character. So now I would do temp equals a second, right? Or temp first, I'm sorry. And then I would do something like first equals second, right? Second equals temp, right? And that would swap them. But the thing is, this in itself, this code does not work really because it's a string, because we're dealing with.
But if you try to add character before that, not the same string anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like after this, let's just say it's here, right? So in this case, wow, I really screwed this up. If first is greater than second, there we go. Then we want to swap them. Right? We want to do D first and then O next, right? So what we would do, we'd put this inside of we can't use a for loop. Wow. We can?
We can.
Okay. If you can't use a for loop, then you would wrap this entire thing inside of a function. I come up with a do, let's say organize order string. Oh, reverse string. It would be something like this. I can't run my code. I would just say, like, if I could run my code, I could probably write this a lot better, but I'm going to just try it the best I can. And then over here, I would have to call this function on itself, right? So if I for loop, inside here, I would have to call this function again, right? We have to use recursion. But what I would do is I would return it. There's a way to return it. And then you would return, let's say, I have to look up it's on this, but because I wrote a bunch of notes on how to do recursion, but you would return it. You can use a for loop, and that's even easier. So let's say over here, we'll just for loop, right? And it would be over here. Let's see.
My husband, that he gave up.
Doesn't matter. I mean, these are tough problems. I mean, you actually don't need to know these things to do most jobs, but it's what interview process they have.
He told us that is the kind of interview question that he asked.
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, a lot of people do ask questions, but a lot of times you need to use these on the job, so you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry like, oh, I have to use this on the job. I don't know how I'm going to use it. It's the reason why most people have to study for these things is because you end up don't.
It's just for interviews.
Just for the interview, yeah. Well, I have a bunch of recursion questions. I'll show you. It's actually in there. I have a bunch of YouTube videos of recursion questions where the career services ask me questions and I answer them. But this is a swapping method.
Yeah.
The temp variables.
Yeah, because I solved it on the board and he seems to agree. Like, okay, that's a way that I wanted to know if it really works.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that your friend's doing that.
Yeah. He's doing that for free.
That's awesome. It's a really good friend. Yeah, we'll cover recursion questions, swapping stuff. So we'll go over bubble sort later on.
Okay. I already do that.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, and that science book that I'll send out is really good. No problem. All right, guys, about 3 more minutes. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, that's why. Because I didn't want people to confuse over confirm. Good. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. What's up? Yeah, it's conf. Yeah. All right, guys. So when I slacked it out, I thought I was making an error by changing the name from confirm to conf, but I made it harder because it was confirm before, and that didn't. And I had to change it to conf. So good shot. And so that was recursion. Over some advanced recursion stuff on Saturday, right? You don't really need it for class, but it'll be helpful for you later on for interviews. Okay, so this is a really complicated looking chart, but this is basically how drip works in a nutshell, and we'll get closer and closer to understanding this. And this is from javascript.info. This is how I always kind of knew it. I always kind of knew how. Wait, I lost it. Where is it? Kind of knew how this worked, but I didn't completely understand it until I went to this webpage and read it. This guy explained it really, really well. At the top of everything, there's null. Right? And we never use null. We use undefined times, right? When we have a variable and we don't set it to a value, the value is going to be undefined. So another value for variables in JavaScript, it's null. It's nothing, but it sits at the very top. And we'll go over what that means throughout the next parts of class. Okay, so let me make a new file. We'll just function. A function again. So over here, let's say I make a function to create a string, like create a new string based on 3 strings, right? So BC, I have to give this a name, so create string from 3 strings. So I'm going to return plus B plus C. And if I want to use this function, let's go to Sandy's row. Var, let's say var D. If I want to use this, how would I use this? Excellent. Call the function right here, and then we'll say and then we can console log t. So let's run the file real quick. It's out to San Francisco. And if I go back to the code, I pass in San Francisco like this, and there I space right in front of Fran, and we console log the output. So just an example of using a function. So this is a normal function, and I've always like never in capital in the front of the function until now. So in the next example, I'm going to capitalize my function. So let's just go to a new file, 09, constructor intro. And like let's say over here for a constructor function, this of a constructor function. Right, for your function, you would capitalize the name of the function. Right, for constructor function, you capitalize the name of the function, not because you need to communicate to other developers that this is going to be this is going to run like a constructor function. What does that even mean? Well, let's backtrack a little bit. Var Nick, right? We'll say name Nick. And hometown.
Bethlehem, PA.
Bethlehem.
EH.
It's not going to work.
I'll
I'll get it wrong. It's fine. So we have the hometown and then hobby, coding. Oh, really? Did you go see Eagles games?
Not really. I'm not, I mean, I've been to see a few.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So we have 3 properties here, and we'll do another first. Rob, just copy this over. This. And then I'd be really surprised if you said the same city. Sacramento, okay. Sacramento, California. Rob. Sacramento, I probably spelled that wrong too. But yeah, this is way too, Sacramento's really hot, right? Yeah, cool. So we have two people, and if we did another one, I mean, you'll get the picture, right? We have to constantly make these objects. In fact, there's a Chipotle open here that is open later than all the Chipotles in San Francisco, and that really surprised me when I came here. Yeah, like midnight. Yeah, yeah.
Things are like open 24/7 in New York.
Yeah, New York's like 24/7, right? And in Portland, it's like 2 a.m. And then here it's like 8 p.m.
Now you go elsewhere sometimes.
Probably the mission. Things are probably open later. So with all these objects, they all look the same. Right? They look the same, right? They have the same keys right here. And if we had to, let's say, add in another property, like pet, right? To add that property into every single person, we have to update every single object, right? There is a way around this. What we can do is we can use a constructor function that will make these objects for us, right? We could use a constructor function to make these objects for us. So let's write that out right now. An alternative to making really similar objects is to use a constructor function to make them for us. So over here, I'm going to take in, what was the first one? It was hometown, hobby, and then pet. So now I'm going to type in this dot name equals n, this dot hometown equals hom, and this dot hobby equals h, this dot pet equals p. Now I can create, let's do all of these. I can do new person and pass in Nick, coding true. And the same thing for the rest of them. Right here. And these objects right here, these will be all objects. These will all be objects just like this one, just like the right here. But they actually have special abilities beyond just normal objects. And we'll talk about that too. But right here, we can create another object from here. So let's just do another one. Ebony. Yeah, this is part of JavaScript. Part of JavaScript, and Ebony's not here, so we'll just make it up. San Francisco, California. Okay, cool. So if we just console logged Ebony, and then just node 08. Nope. Oh no. Yep. And this is what the Ebony variable is, right? It's an object, it's a person object, right? With those keys, name, hometown, hobby, and pet, right here. So we can quickly make new objects that are pretty similar to one another. Right here, I just did var. Yeah, I just console logged it right here and just made this right here. So what exactly is happening? What's happening here is I'm making a variable called Nick. I'm calling the person function, but I'm putting the word new in front of it. And we've never done this before. So when you put the word new in front of something, function, what happens you make an object like this, right? It's almost like you var this equals this empty object, right? And at the end, you return this. So this is what happens, right? So we do var nick because we put new in front of this function. What's happening behind the scenes when you put new is you're doing, like, JavaScript is making a variable on line 31 and var this equals an empty object, right? And then on lines 32 through 35, updating this object right here. And then we're returning this object, right? This is what's happening inside the function when we do new, this function with all these parameters.
What
right?
if you skip one in making a new version?
If you wanted to skip one of the
One of the properties.
yeah, so
Empty, or would you like? What if it's simple? What if it's the last key?
yeah, you could leave it empty. That's one way, right? That's one way, or you could delete that property inside, right? But you wouldn't do that. You would just leave it empty. Yeah.
How do you skip over one?
You just leave it empty. So over here, if I wanted to skip over this one right here, I could just do null, and then that would be fine, right? And in your code, you would expect that. You would expect, like, if they leave it off, then it's going to be null, right? So again, we made some objects over here, right? And so if we had to make 20 of these, it would be kind of redundant, especially if we had to update these, right? But there's a better way. We could use a constructor function. And I haven't talked about how this fits in a diagram yet. We have to cover a few more things before that'll even make sense. So we'll just start with this here. So this is a constructor function. You don't have to capitalize it, but it's better so people know you're using constructor function right here. And we're using the word new. The word new basically it makes this invisible variable named this, which is an object, and then it returns that invisible variable at the bottom of the function for us. And that's why Nick is an object. Rob, Pavan, Ebony, we're all objects because we're using new here. If we did not use the word new, it's actually interesting what happens. Let me just copy this real quick into the node console. Right, so over here I have the person function. If I do person, and let's say person, or
Rob just said you.
you go to RIT?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good school. What was the other one? Hobbies, coding? Coding, true. Right, so now if I see Aaron, it's undefined, but if I do name, it's Aaron. If I do hobby, pet, right here, what happened here, I forgot the word new, right? Forgot the word new. This is the window. So the function did this dot name equals Aaron. And this is the window. So window dot name equals Aaron. Right? So if you forget the new, this is the window, not a new object. Forget the new. This is not this is not a brand new object, it's the window. And the window is basically the global object. Right, so let me go back to Chrome, open up the console. If I do A equals hello, type in A, what am I gonna get, Rob? Right, if I do window.a, I also get hello, right? The window is the actual window, but it also contains everything. Up here, if I open it up, we see that A is inside of here, right? So if I do this right now, it's actually the window. by this dot A, it's hello, right? By default, this is the window. By default, always, this is the window. Totally lost you guys, but it's okay. I'll get back. I'll get you guys back. Let me just paste in to the chat. Send you guys this file to go over. And then you can ask me your questions and we'll be fine.
Is new a data type?
It's not. It's part of JavaScript. It lets, like, the best way for me to explain what new does is this right here. This line and this line, right? That's what new is doing for us. It's doing this and this right here. It's actually making a brand new object for us. And then whenever we do these lines right here, it's going to update that object and it's going to return it. And it's going to go inside the Nick variable, Rob variable. That's the best way for me to explain new. It is part of JavaScript though. Okay, so I just slacked out that file. I want you guys to spend 6 minutes, go over with your partners. 10 minutes, sorry. Not 1 minute, 10. And let me just wait for Nick. Just let me know when you have it downloaded in VS Code and running your terminal. Got it? Cool. So run through this with your partners, right? Maybe make a new variable. Maybe add on to the constructor function. Write down questions you have. I like that question about new. Thanks for asking it. If you guys want, javascript.info is really good. And it's a great place to start and read. I would start again and just glance through. I mean, going over variables and arrays with the same basic, but I mean, you'll get used to the way that person writes. So, yeah. What's up? Oh. Oh, Janak, I'm taking in 4, and I'm setting 4 properties, and then I'm passing in 4. So the reason why I'm passing the Boolean at the end is because I'm just passing in, do they have a pet?
Oh, sorry. In the Nick object, I thought it's 5 parameters.
I'm sorry, I can't hear both. Janak, I can't hear you.
Sorry, the thing is, in the Nick object, like we pass for 5 parameter, but comma.
Yeah, so sorry, Janak. It's my computer. My computer's really messed up. It's not really saying the audio properly. Can you type it in, your question? Sorry, man. It's like just really muffled. We have one more activity after this. 4 more minutes to go over this file. I'll bring a Bluetooth speaker for the next class. Okay. Yeah. It's only 4. I'm not passing in 5. All good. Hey, what's up?
So you threw me off when you were referring to window.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like when you said window, you were referring to like the array, but I'm not sure if that's what you mean by window.
It's interesting. The window isn't actually. Man, I screwed this up. There is no window in Node, but there's a global object. So if I type this in, this is the global object in Node, right? Just like if I open up the Chrome console and type this in, right? It's the window automatically. It's just an object full of functions and properties.
Okay.
So we'll see tons of things here. Basically anything we make goes inside the window. Like any variable we make or any function. So let's say if I make a function, guy.
Did you spill water on your speaker?
No, this is just the new computer. It's like if you buy a brand new computer and you're on the latest OS, it's just a common problem that the audio is scratchy.
Okay.
And then
internal.
No, it's not an internal thing. Well, it might be, but that's what people.
You just haven't had a chance to bring it up.
Yeah, I just never wrote it down. I do have to do that though. So if I do window.a, you'll see it's the same function that I made. Everything goes inside of it.
So it's like a plain.
Yeah, it just everything goes inside of it. Same thing with Node. So if I do the same thing over there. It's that function that we just typed in. It's not going to show the function because of the way Node works, but it's just like that global object. So if we have a constructor function, it's going to, if we have a constructor function and we run the constructor function without passing in new in front of it, it updates what this is. And this is automatically that global thing where everything goes into. But if we put the word new in front of it, then all those properties go into a brand new object that gets returned at the end. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like one, the constructor function is like one piece of something. You'll see right now, the only real use case is if you had a bunch of similar objects, you can create them faster. You can create them faster and in an easier way with a constructor function right now. But then later on, you can relate those objects to other objects. So like, let's say you have an animal constructor function, and then let's say you had like a dog constructor function. So not all animals like bark, but a dog would bark, right? So then you can inherit everything from this one, and then you could add in more over here. And that's the true value in it. So you could have like architecture like this, and you could share code with it. So you could have like objects, and like later on when we get into databases, some people they'll have a constructor function for every single table in their database. So they'll have a table for each they'll have like a base table. They have a base constructor function with functions on it, like grab all the data in the table or count all the records in the table. And then you extend that constructor function and you have a constructor function for each table. So like people do that commonly. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see right now, but once we go over prototypes and go over relate constructor functions and everything, it'll be a little bit easier to see where that fits into that big diagram. Thanks for asking that. Okay, guys, one last activity. And if you want to, it would be great if you could start reading through javascript.info. I would start off at the very beginning. Just this part's going to be super easy, but it's good to skim through it to get to understand the guy's writing style. What you really want to get down to, I mean, this covers everything in JavaScript, recursion and stack. Let's see. Right here, you want to get to this part, like the end, right? So if you want to read Proto 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, those three right here, that would be really helpful before Saturday. Even if you don't understand everything in it, just to get it in your head a little bit. If you want to read 7.3, 7.4, 7.5 here, I'll put that in the chat. And this is what I tell people to do after the class, but if you guys want to get started now, that'd be awesome. All right, so go ahead, tell me. Justin, just give me a thumbs up when. Justin, just give me a thumbs up when you have that file downloaded. Cool, we got it. Awesome. This coming Wednesday, take care, William. See you Saturday. My other class, we're going to the HoloLens meetup at the Microsoft Reactor Center. If you want to come by. Let's see. They're going to present the HoloLens 2. It just came out. It's a VR headset. So if you're 112 people, definitely mark yourself attending if you're going to go, because it will fill up eventually. I think it's already passed their fire code, but. Okay, so let's see. In this activity, you're going to make your own animal constructor function, and it's going to have 5 keys in it: name, species, has fur, can swim, can fly. And then you're going to create 3 objects with it and console log them out. Right? So we'll do 10 minutes. Actually, we'll do 7. And then, yeah. Shouldn't be too bad, right? So you already have a base constructor function to look at. What I covered today doesn't look that useful. It really isn't that useful until we cover inheritance. Once we cover inheritance, then it's very useful.
Oh, yeah.
There's something called Amazon Sumerian. ARVR, I mean, it's pretty nuts. Yeah, but it's just, I don't think I would use it. It's just an infinity, right? Sumerian. Yeah. That's all there. So you should do this. All right, guys, we'll go over the activity on Saturday. And if you could read those 3 sections in javascript.info, that'd be great. Right, 7.3, 4, and 5. You could go through the rest, like, if you want, but 7.3, 7.4, 7.5.